Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about something very important, meaning field green technologies. So let's dive right into it. Now you have to understand at this point in time, more and more people are accepting global warming and there is a need for it, meaning need for green technology, meaning we do not want to live in this world. This is not acceptable. And from not only point of environment, at this point in time, people are like, you know what, I don't want to rely on fossil fuel, not because I give a damn about environment, but because I do not like the idea of somebody else controlling my fate. Indians do not want to live in a world where they're like, oh, Russia is today blocking oil exports, so our fuel prices goes up. We don't want to live in that world. You don't want to live in that world. Nobody wants to live in that world. Nobody wants to live in a world where it's like, oh, our coal mines have dried out, so we do not have power. They don't want to that. That's why there is a very serious actual need at this point in time where people are like, we want green technology or renewable energy, so to say. Now that creates a very high demand for it. That's awesome. Now that simply means because of the energy sector's size, scale, scope, $1 billion is nothing there. It's an industry that we're talking on billions of dollars. You don't come there and you're like, I have $1 billion. They're like, bro, it's not space industry, okay? We don't deal in jump change. It's a big industry, billions of dollars. So there is a lot of incentive and opportunities, meaning if you can crack in this puppy, you're gonna be printing some serious moolah and a lot of money to be made from every place, meaning China. It's not like, oh, China does not want to go to green. They want to do that. India does not. India wants to. Pakistan, Nepal, same. Sri Lanka, same. So reality is everybody is doing that. Now, the most amazing aspect of that is a lot of people are trying. That's awesome because no matter how smart one individual is one. It's not enough. You cannot have a whole civilization running on one Einstein. You need Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Richard Dawkins, Newton, Tesla, 10,000 other people. You need hundreds of them in order to crack this puppy. So this is awesome part. However, there is something known as bitch slap, known as reality. Now, there are many layers in order to make a technology and make it successful. There are two very different things. Making a technology, that's child's play. You may be like, okay, that requires a lot of R&D, PhD, hulululu, jingalala. Yes, that's easy. That's the easy part. Trust me, I guarantee you. Once you make that, you will like, once you start to monetize that puppy, you're like, oh, that's the whole thing. You have to understand there are many layers of things that you have to understand in order to achieve functionality. Without functionality, you will be stuck with a fancy paperweight, and it has happened. That's why we are making a video about this. So labs and prototypes, they are easy. Do not fall into the trap of, oh, in lab we have achieved this. We have achieved a lab, a solid state battery, glass battery, and blah blah battery like freaking 20 years ago at this point in time. I'm not even joking. Like 20 years ago, people were claiming this sort of thing. But those things are easy. Lab, prototype, those are easy. The main badass is the economics, and economics matter the most. This is one thing that you must understand. You do not want to go to someone and it's like, you should put solar panel on your roof because it will, like, save the environment. They do not care. I do not care. Here's the deal. How do you sell me solar panel then? You install solar panel, your monthly bill goes. After 3 to 5 years, your initial capital, it will be returned. This puppy will last around 25 years with minor maintenance, meaning you're gonna have 2x or 3x of your comfort. Sign me up. That's the whole thing. Economics must matter. If you have a plan and you do not settle the economics part of it beforehand, yeah, you're stuck. And there is another aspect of it. Many times people, engineers specifically, they focus on very good, like, they go into the nitty gritty. They spend a lot of time developing that puppy. They sometimes forget there are outside variables also. And outside variables are so powerful sometimes, meaning they can literally flat out remove your project before it even gets into the economic stage. Because you may be like, let's say you made a projection. You sell to investor, hey, we have this new solar technology. While solar panel you look at is like, $7. $7 per watt. Okay, awesome. Our technology is gonna deliver at like, $4. Now company, investors, everybody's like, I like that puppy. Here's money. Invest. Awesome. Here's the deal. You did not pay attention to the market price drop. And after 5-6 years, you randomly realize, wait a minute, solar has dropped to 3. Wait a minute, solar has dropped 2.7. And then you realize the problem because you started on a fixed estimate of like 7, that changed, and now you're out of business. It has happened to people. This is one thing that you must understand. There are other variables also. Same has happened with concentrated solar, offshore wind, onshore wind, and solar PV. You have to understand that there is a lot of extra variables. For example, many times people are like, we should go nuclear. Here's the problem with nuclear. Like, again, I do not care. I do not like nuclear for one simple reason. Nuclear does not tolerate mistakes. You make mistake, nuclear goes boom. And it does not go boom as in like, oh, it cause a radioactive damage here for one day. It's like, yeah, do not send humans nearby for 100 years, bare minimum, and good luck sorting nuclear waste. I have not seen any plant or any process that's like nuclear waste. Forget about it. Is every plant is like, yeah, we are spending millions of dollars per year forever. We have to forever maintain this site. We have to forever analyze water soils, so we have to make sure it's never leached and things. Again, I do get it, I do understand it, but here's the deal. How about not? And this is the another reason why nuclear always fails is the cost. It's super easy to claim like Germany is shutting down nuclear. It's like it's too expensive to run. That's why they're shutting it down. It's like too goddamn expensive. So then you like micro reactors, just too goddamn expensive. Megawatt hour cost is the most important part. If you can't sell the goddamn electricity, what's the point of clean electricity? You can't sell it. It's like nobody's gonna buy it. So this is the reality aspect here. Nobody cares about environment. Every Tom, Dick and Harry cares about the profitability. You make a good technology, it should be profitable. And it should be competitive in all fronts. This is one thing that many people have learned the hard way. They were only focusing on solar. They did not pay attention to wind, and wind is like, surprise, it took your lunch. So first casualty of this sort of system is solar thermal. Now solar thermal idea is very ancient, as in like 1990s kind of ancient, and there was the idea core behind it. It's rather solid. It's like scientifically solid. It's like, it's simple. It requires mirror, cheap motors, not that expensive, steam system. We have been making that for 100 years, and you add molten salt and you have GG system. You have solar power that works 24/7. That's how it was sold to the public. Here's the deal. It always failed to gain traction. You would have noticed that every plant that is being created, most of the time is solar PV. Very few, very rarely, like 1 or 2 in China, 1 or 2 in India, 1 or 2 in USA, 1 or 2 in Australia. It's like compared to hundreds of PV panel. How the heck that happened? How the heck solar thermal? That's supposed to be cheaper. That's supposed to be the way to empower people. Because this is one amazing thing about solar, basically thermal system. I can give it into Africa. Like they can create the technology, maintain the technology on their own from start to finish without ever needing 10,000 layers of patents. Because again, it's a dumb technology. But it always failed. Like why the heck it always fails everywhere? Like there is barely any plants. Like I can guarantee you can drive, you will find solar solar photovoltaic farms around like 500 to 600 kilometers from you. I guarantee it. Like almost every place has this at this point in time. But solar thermal, you have to specifically travel. Oh, one in China has there, one in USA is there, one in Australia is there. That's like, why the heck that happened? Because kiss. Nobody kissed this puppy. Meaning mechanical complexity was too goddamn high. Keep it simple, silly. If you do not kiss the design, bye-bye design. And this happened. This is a real thing. For example, what is the primary side effect of solar panels? They get dirty. Meaning, if you put them in desert will cover that puppy. You have to have something robotics like this. Now, this sort of robotics, because of the influx of solar farms, there are many companies that will sell you robotics. Some will use water, some will use basically wipers. Basically, you can clean this puppy without any issue robotically, and you only need few staff. Right? For hundreds of megawatt of plant, you only need few people managing everything. Meaning, your per megawatt cost, like basically cost of infrastructure as in maintenance crew, goes down compared to this puppy. Like this is parabolic mirror structure, and you can get that. Like this is the truck they have to use to clean that puppy. Just by new adaptively thinking this puppy is cheap, good luck with this puppy. And that's the same reality. Same goes with heliostat structure, where you have mirrors that are aligning. That fundamentally means you have a mirror that cannot be like panelized like this, where you can just like shh, you can't clean it. You have to have like a way to individually clean each panel. Each of them will have multiple motors. Each of them will require gear, maintenance, lubrication, greasing, things of that nature. And not to mention, most of these things are put in a dirty place or dusty place like deserts, meaning good luck with it. So that's the reality of it. The design is inherently far more complex than you realize. It can be done on cheap, it can be done with 1990s technology, but it's not kiss factor. And high maintenance cost and very long downtimes. Now you were like, why the heck there is downtime? That's the problem with molten salt. Everybody sold this idea, we're gonna have molten salt, awesome. Because nobody reminded people that salt solidifies as high as 500 degrees Celsius, meaning it will jam up everything that it touches if it's at 500 degrees Celsius. So meaning your active area, basically where you can extract energy from molten salt, is around 500 degrees Celsius, meaning you boil that puppy up to around 1000 degree or around 1200 degrees Celsius, awesome. Molten, awesome. Here's the deal. You run it through a heat exchanger, you get your steam out, awesome. Here's the issue. Doing that, basically you are boiling water with it, inherently cools down that puppy, meaning again energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so it's gonna cool down. Now how much it cools down you have to maintain, and you have to maintain it very thoroughly, meaning if it goes below 500 degrees Celsius, it's gonna solidify. And solidify, here's the interesting part, meaning you throw away the whole thing. You cannot do anything about it. Like salvaging it is almost impossible. Pipes, yeah, cut the pipe off, create a new pipe. That's how difficult it is to fix this puppy. And it has happened with multiple systems. That's why modern systems, they're just using oil. They're no longer talking about, like, we have energy storage. People learned it the hard way. That sounds good. Once you actually do it, it's like, yeah, you did not kiss me, I'm not gonna work for you. It has happened. Like, this is real. Like, people have suffered because of it. So that's one thing you have to understand. That's why solar PV, you are seeing it everywhere, while solar thermal, even though it has some benefits on paper, real life it's like, one or two plants have been successful, and not to mention not to that extent. And especially if you drown out the cost of public labor, meaning labor cost, it always goes up. Now PV cost, again, you can automate it more and more and it will reduce your investment cost. You cannot do the same with these things. They cannot be automated beyond a certain point, meaning every year you are incurring higher and higher cost. So eventually, by the time 2050, good luck trying to justify economically these puppies. Good luck with that. That's why this technology failed. Now we come to another thing that really hurts me, because again, solar thermal, I kind of understands there is a true desire to it, but like we got it, we kind of sorted it out. However, this technology hurts me simply because it is way too early. It came too early. Meaning, how early? World War II kind of early. Yes. Now this is one thing you have to you have to understand from a country's point of view. Country many times do not care about cost. Again, US military cost is like freaking $1 trillion per fighter jet. Is like, what the hell. It is ludicrous like that. So money is not that big of a factor. However, independence is, meaning nobody else can control what the hell I do. Nobody wants to do that. India does not want to do that. Nepal does not want to do that. No country wants to be in a situation where it's like, hey, you decide what do I do. You decide the cost of my food, because again, I'm directly dependent on oil imports. So people started to do that research. However, after that initial war consumption goes down, people kind of chilled. It's like, relax, take a deep breath. Now in that time, interest waned. It's like, you know what, we don't really need it. We don't have war. Like, EU is being created. We are all sorted. Everybody is like NATO pact. Things are stable. So there was a lot of lost interest in that project. Then there was a second wind in this project, that is oil embargo of 1970. Yeah, this puppy is ancient. In 1970, because of ludicrously oil high cost, people wanted to reinvest into this system. It's like, is there something utilizable here? Now, fundamentally, all you are doing is making oil directly. Now, how oil is created? Basically, plant creates what we call hydrocarbons. When you bury them underground, over time they goes down, 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 down. What's happening then? You are boiling off, basically. You are cooking it off and removing all the moisture from it, removing as much volatile as possible. Basically, you are making charcoal, only in liquid state. You're just removing everything else other than hydrocarbons. And because of the heat, compaction, you're making hydrocarbons into longer and longer chains. Now that's awesome. But here's the deal. What if you cut that process? Like, you take the plant, you make the hydrocarbon and you use it. Diesel is a hydrocarbon. Can you do that? Yes. That's seaweed and algae. Now, why algae and seaweeds? Well, seaweed, basically, it removes the issue of water consumption. Algae, simply because it's quick, meaning algae is a single cellular organism, meaning it does not grow in days, it grows in hours. Meaning you have a vat of it, it will grow as quickly as you can provide nutrition, air and sunlight to it. It will grow, meaning you can literally have a plant, it will start producing fuel at the end of the day. That's how fast this puppy is. And it does not take any farmland, which is the goddamn stupid thing where people are like, we're gonna grow sugarcane and make it into fuel. Do not do that. That's stupid. And they are doing it. Now, be mindful, that's another nail in the coffin. Many people vehemently opposed development of algae biofuel simply because they are like, dude, we sold our lands for like, algae, sugarcane fuel or corn fuel or soybean fuel. It's like, now you are like, pulling the rug under us. It's like, dude, all of you will starve to death if you do that kind of stupidity. This does not require farmable land. It does require water bath. Again, that also, be mindful, it can be sealed completely, so it does not even touch soil. This can be exposed. Again, all of them has pros and cons, and it does not need anything. It does not, like, you can work in, basically Sahara desert, and if you are dealing with seaweed, it can work on salty water also, meaning we have infinite water supply for it. So that's the reality of it. It's awesome, and it actually powers everything. Meaning, biggest problem with EV is that if you make EV car, good. You make EV truck, not good. EV planes, good luck. It cannot be done. Physics does not allow it. Now, jet fuel, this puppy is like, bro, it's just hydrocarbon. Just cook that fuel longer, you have hydrocarbon. Be mindful, Pentagon tested this puppy on a fighter jet. It works. It's just a hydrocarbon. It just works. It's one of those things that, like, we sorted it out. Now we're like, okay, this works. This provides independence, does not require farmable land. Everything is amazing about this. And we have been working on this puppy for years. Why the heck it's not everywhere? Well, reality is it came too early, meaning 1970, the war was cheaper compared to developing this puppy. And reality is, if you make this, nothing in physics is stopping this. If you make this, at best case scenario, this will be 3x the price of normal fuel. Then why the heck people are not doing it? Well, reality is paradox. Now, the paradox is like every company is like, okay, I'm going to give you 100 million. Can you make a small plant for me and show the profitability? That's the point where this puppy falls apart. This requires billions of dollars of investment upfront, meaning the bigger you make it, the more profitable it becomes. If you make it small, fundamentally it's useless. It's good for research and development. Many companies have developed specifically genetically modified algae that goes from basically lipids content, I think that's what they call it, from around 20% to 45%. And some people have claimed 75%. If it's 75%, it's like GG amount of fuel will be made every day, meaning, and again, Department of Energy did the research, did the math, how much land they need for this. It's 1/7 of the corn. Basically, USA has that kind of land mass, and this is so dense, and given the fact that it was such a high cadence, it's like USA will not even notice that they have dedicated a small patch just to oil production. They will not notice it. That's how small this is. And they can have multiple farms, multiple places, so you have redundancy, reliability, and all that jazz. And they will never need to ever worry about like Middle East. It's like oil embargo, we don't care, brother, we have our own oil. And not to mention, Japanese people are also figured it out. Algae is kind of amazing extracting things out of water. What do you want to extract? What about heavy metal contamination? How about radioactive metal contamination? And heavy water like things that have been contaminating the water supply. This is also acting as an amazing water filtration system. This is a real thing, it's really used in real life, but that's why it never caught on, because everybody's like, show me profitability on a small scale. It does not work on a small scale. So only way to make this puppy work is like if voters start to like give us this exact technology and government invest money into this over years. This will not turn out in year 1 or year 2. This is like a 10-year project. But if you do go through that, if you grind through it, after a while it will start to print money. After a while, it's like we do not worry about oil, we do not ever worry about EV conversion, we do not worry about lithium, cobalt, and all that. Just like whatever we have. And what about carbon dioxide? It's just cycling the carbon dioxide. It's basically solar energy turned into chemical energy back into, it's like a cycle, complete cycle. You do not have to worry about it. So it's awesome, but it failed because it came too goddamn early. Again, it's like actual diesel, like you put in your car. It's like, don't worry about it. Adoption, don't even worry about it. Everything already there. So what can we learn from this? Lesson learned. Well, economics is the final boss. Meaning, think of it this way, like every single problem that EV is having, biofuel solves it. It's like Algae Biofuel is like, I sorted this puppy out. You will not starve your population. Heck, we can literally clean water with this technology, and yet it did not work because nobody managed to crack that small scale problem. Where it's like, if you give me $100 million, I'm gonna show you a profitable operation. Nobody cracked that, and it failed. And many times you have to understand, if you have a plan of great technology and it does not give a profit, it's gonna do nothing. That's why, like, this is one thing that we must understand. Profitability must come first. Or one thing that is learned the hard way is that you have to pay attention to all the vectors. Like concentrated solar people, again, they paid attention to the solar panel prices at the beginning. In the middle way, if they had noticed, it's like, dude, solar panel prices are dropping. If it drops beyond a certain point, all the concentrated solar farms will no longer be viable, and not to mention increasing labor cost will make them like, again, even if you build something amazing today, let's say in China, it will become financially destructive after, like, let's say 5 years from now. And if panel prices drops beyond a certain point, you will be dealing with a losing money asset. So this is one thing, you have to pay attention to all fields all the time. And there are many more examples of that. Like, these two hurts me the most is like concentrated solar, because it looks so goddamn good, but every time you use it, it's like, dude, it just does not work. And Algae Biofuel, it's like solves every single problem of humanity, and it's like we are still not using it. And there are other things. Biogas has the same issue of Algae Biofuel. It's like biogas, Indian government really wanted to sell that puppy, and they worked really hard. And I'm talking like during my school days, this was a common message plastered everywhere. Like, every basically milk producer, they had to, like, do this sort of thing. Government was encouraging it. But here's the deal. The problem was they wanted to make small units, basically each farmer to do that. Consequence, biodigester do not like to be in small scale. You make it large scale, now it produces some serious quantity of gas. Now it's a really good, efficient, mass producible thing, profitable. And small scale, it's not profitable. So many people did invest into this system and they abandoned it. So country went from, like, almost going to clean zero methane emission to hundreds of gigatons of methane emission again. because that technology failed. Scale did not match up. Again, India is really trying, second time is like, let's make sure biogas works. But that's one thing that you have to understand. Deployment also matters. Scale also matters. There is this company, Mechanica, that company wanted to make a basically kite-based wind farm, because when they started this, they knew for a fact that you cannot have a super giant wind farm, because at that time, if you have went to any company, Siemens or any company, as like, hey, I want a wind farm that is like 300 meters tall, they're like, yeah, we can make it. It's gonna cost $3 trillion. Now here's the deal. They thought of that. They tried to solve the problem. They did that, and amazing movie of this is there. Like I provided down below. It's like 1.5 hours through their whole 10-year journey, and at the end they were like, "Yep, this was useless." Simply because offshore wind farm cost went down so drastically, this became useless before it even went into production. So this is one thing you have to understand. We really have to understand economics as a final boss. It must be accounted for from day one. If you do not account it, do not be surprised as like, oh, this does not work. Economics is the final boss. I'm truly heartbroken on the fact that somehow from 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, we had this algae biofuel. If slowly, even if people were like, crunching, making genetic specifically variation which can achieve very high yield rates, we would have sorted this problem before it became a problem. But such is life. So this was my presentation on field green techs. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show my extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.